"There's a camera in your office," whispered the little girl the next day. "He fired everyone." Daniel Harper was the CEO of a rapidly growing tech company. From the outside, everything looked perfect. The company had impressive clients, talented employees, and a beautiful headquarters in the center of the city. But over the past few months, something felt wrong. Profits had started dropping unexpectedly. Even worse, confidential projects were somehow reaching competitors before Daniel's team could launch them. Daniel couldn't understand how it was happening. Every department denied leaking information. Every manager promised loyalty. Yet the problem continued. One evening, Daniel brought his 8-year-old daughter Lily to the office. It wasn't unusual. Sometimes Lily liked visiting her father after school. She loved watching the busy office and drawing pictures at the reception desk. While Lily sat with her crayons, Daniel went into a long boardroom meeting with his senior managers. The meeting lasted almost 2 hours. By the time it ended, most of the employees had already left for the day. The office was quiet, and the lights outside the glass windows showed the glowing city skyline. Daniel returned to his office and opened his laptop to finish some work. Lily was quietly walking around the room, looking at the bookshelves and decorations. She liked exploring the big office that looked like something from a movie. Suddenly, she stopped. She stared at the bookshelf behind Daniel's desk. Then she slowly walked toward her father. She leaned close to him and whispered softly, "Daddy, there's a camera in your office." Daniel chuckled. "Of course there are cameras, sweetheart. They're for security." Lily shook her head. "No, not those cameras." Daniel looked at her with curiosity. "What do you mean?" She pointed toward the bookshelf. "There. I saw a tiny red light blinking." Daniel's smile slowly faded. At first, he thought Lily might be imagining things. Kids often noticed reflections or tiny lights that meant nothing. But something about her serious expression made him stand up. He walked over to the bookshelf. Carefully, he moved a few books aside. And then he saw it. A tiny pinhole camera hidden between 2 books. A small red light blinked quietly. Daniel froze. His heart began beating faster. The camera was pointing directly at his desk, and his laptop. "This can't be real," he whispered. Someone had secretly installed a camera inside the CEO's office. Daniel immediately unplugged it and held the device in his hand. His first instinct was to call building security. But then he paused. If someone had placed this camera here, it was almost certainly someone inside the company. Someone who had access. Someone he trusted. Daniel slipped the camera into his pocket and said nothing to anyone. That night, he couldn't sleep. Instead, he contacted a private cybersecurity expert and asked him to analyze the device. By morning, the results came back. The camera had been streaming live video to an external server. And every recording from Daniel's office for the past 6 months had been automatically uploaded online. But the most shocking discovery was still ahead. The server access was linked to several company email accounts. Senior employees. Daniel sat silently at his desk, staring at the report. People he trusted. People he had promoted. People who attended every confidential meeting. The next morning, Daniel called for an emergency staff meeting. Everyone gathered in the large conference room. 30 employees sat around the table, whispering and wondering why the meeting had been called so suddenly. Daniel walked in slowly. He didn't say a word. Instead, he placed the small hidden camera on the table. The room instantly went silent. "I found this in my office yesterday," Daniel said calmly. Some employees looked confused. Others suddenly looked nervous. "It's a hidden camera," Daniel continued, pointing directly at my desk. Murmurs filled the room. Then Daniel turned on the projector screen. The screen displayed server logs, timestamps, and video recordings. "For the past 6 months," Daniel said, "every confidential discussion in my office has been recorded and sent to outside servers." The room fell into shocked silence. One manager stood up quickly. "Sir, this must be some kind of mistake." Daniel looked at him steadily. "The server logs don't lie." He clicked to the next slide. 6 names appeared on the screen. Senior managers. The same people responsible for handling confidential projects. Gasps filled the room. "These accounts were used to access the recordings," Daniel said. Security guards quietly stepped into the room. The accused managers began protesting loudly. "This is unfair. You can't prove anything." Daniel's voice remained calm. "I already have." He nodded toward the guards. "Escort them out." One by one, the managers were taken out of the conference room while the rest of the employees watched in stunned silence. Daniel turned to the remaining staff. "Trust is the foundation of any company," he said. "And when trust is broken, rebuilding becomes necessary." He paused for a moment. Then he delivered the sentence that shocked everyone. "Starting today, everyone involved in that department is fired." The room erupted with whispers. Daniel raised his hand for silence. "But for those who are honest," he continued, "this is a new beginning." After the meeting ended, Daniel returned to his office. He sat in his chair and stared at the empty bookshelf. If Lily hadn't noticed that tiny blinking light, the spying might have continued for years. The company could have collapsed. Just then, Lily ran into the office. "Daddy. Did I help?" Daniel smiled warmly and hugged her. "Yes, sweetheart," he said softly. "You saved my company." Sometimes the truth isn't discovered by experience, power, or intelligence. Sometimes, it's seen first through the innocent eyes of a child.